Sadiyya, described as the food fairy, has an insatiable appetite for life and learning.
She started off studying and graduating in journalism cum laude and even won a scholarship.
Then Sadiyya decided to nosedive into the food world as a student at an award-winning culinary school where her routine included scrubbing floors, washing dishes, mopping and sweeping, and she loved it. Then she traveled all over the world to learn about food.
We have heard about this before though, Zach, where someone leaves their career to seek an alternative path. So what's so different?
Let's find out about Sadiyya discovering herself through food.
Sadiyya doesn't believe in being conventional, and she throws all her energy into whatever she's doing. And that includes learning the culinary arts in London, being the food fairy for South Africa's Who's Who, or adding a touch of whimsy to a photo shoot.
Our love for food comes from our natural need for it, sustenance. But our creativity with cuisine comes from a place of wanting to offer our taste buds a little more. Today, I'm joining Sadiyya Ameen, someone who always knew she wanted to become a chef. And she's going to be cooking something that many of you at home may recognize. It dates back to the 16th century, Dum Breyani. Welcome to Mela, Sadiyya.
Thank you, Kajal.
Now, before we get into our Dum Breyani making, what is Dum Breyani?
Dum Biryani started in the time of the Mughals and was brought in by the Iranians. Dum means steamed, and the rest of the word is dum pakt, and pakt means choking. The pots are normally blocked by a lump of dough so that you don't get any steam released, and cook it slowly on coal.
So, by steaming it in that way, you bring out the full flavor of each ingredient.
It highlights the ingredients completely.
Well, you've got my taste buds tingling. Let's get cooking. Let's go. So what's first?
We're going to actually put in the ghee into the pot. A lot of ghee, about 3/4 cup. And then we take in whole spices, normally garam masala spices with the addition of bay leaves. We put in about 3 of those. We put in 6 cardamom pods, 4 cloves, and 2 or 3 black peppercorns.
How different is this from a regular biryani? Is it just the fact that it's enclosed?
Indian cooking is very forgiving. So what happens is everyone has a different variation of what they do, you know, whereas if it's a cordon bleu cooking and if it's baking, you stick to formulae and you stick to what you have to do, and it must turn out a certain way.
Science.
Yes, definitely a science. Kajal, I'm sure you can smell the spices and you can hear a small crackle. And we're ready to put in some onions. About 1 large onion. Just give that a slight stir.
We need to let the onions brown a bit?
Yes, we do.
So you've always wanted to be a chef?
Yes, I have, but I didn't become a chef immediately after matric. I actually went off to become a journalist first.
Were you interested in journalism?
I was interested in journalism, but once I did it, the sort of the ache and the yearn for becoming a chef was still there. So I went back home and I spoke to my parents, and we went back to the drawing board, and they agreed to let me go and study again. I was pretty lucky.
That looks pretty good. What goes in there?
Okay, next I'm going to put in the chicken, which has been washed and it's cut into 8. We're just going to get a bit of color onto it, and then we're going to just go on to putting in more spices. Okay, the chicken is ready. We can start adding in some spices.
So what spices are we using?
We're going to add in some cumin seeds, 2 teaspoons, 3 heaped teaspoons of ginger garlic paste.
Is there chili in that?
There's just a little bit of a hint of red chili. Add in a teaspoon of turmeric, a heaped teaspoon of ground coriander cumin powder, and we're going to give it a little mix first, just so everything's incorporated in nicely. Put in a teaspoon of red chili powder and 3 whole green chilies just for flavor. We're going to put in 2 large tomatoes that have been grated. Just going to mix that up so we can get the tomatoes cooked. Okay, we're going to add in a teaspoon of salt.
Okay, so what is that?
Thick Greek yogurt. I'm actually only going to add in half of the amount now. The key to a good biryani is the yogurt, because it gives it a silky texture and it also adds a certain tartness to it.
So how long do we let this cook for?
We're going to just let it cook a bit more, and then I'm going to actually add in some fried onions.
More onions.
That's for the crunch and the texture. It also gives the biryani an added flavor.
Sadiyya, I know once you finish chef school, you went off to explore the world.
Yes, I did.
Tell us about your experience in those restaurants.
I moved to London and I worked in the Quilon Bar, which is a Michelin star restaurant. I was the first female to enter that kitchen. Although I was the only female there, they respected me and they taught me a lot. And from there, once I was practiced with that menu, they moved me to their sister restaurant, which was the Bombay Brasserie. And there they specialize in the tandoor, where I worked under a Nepali chef who had started the tandoor from the age of 10.
Does that look ready to you?
Yes, we can add in the rest of the ingredients. We're going to add in half a cup of the fried onion and we're going to reserve the rest for when we're layering the biryani. Double thick cream.
That's double thick cream. It is not for the faint-hearted.
This is a biryani that will take you back to the old dynasties, the ones that had no limits.
Are you going to do the saffron?
I'm going to take half of it only again. The saffron is steeped in warm milk, not hot, but just warm. Yes. When you place the saffron into warm milk, it activates it completely, so it grants you a greater color. This needs to cook down for 10 minutes, I would say. It's not until the chicken is completely cooked, but almost there.
So the chicken masala has cooked down and it's time to start the layering. Right, where do we start with this?
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in 6 tablespoons of chopped coriander, 4 tablespoons of mint, add in the remaining bit of yogurt into the pot. I'm just going to give it a good mix.
What goes in first for the layering?
So what we're going to do is we're going to, if you could pass me the rice.
So there's some pre-cooked rice.
Okay, I've cooked the rice until it's just firm but not cooked completely. I've put 1 tablespoon of salt in the water, a tablespoon of ghee, half a cup of milk, 2 peppercorns, 2 cardamom pods and 2 cinnamon sticks. And I've removed that once the rice was cooked. And that's how we're going to start layering now. We're going to actually place first a thin layer of rice in the bottom just to cover the pot. And then we're going to actually place that on top of the rice.
Ideally, how many layers should a biryani have?
3, sometimes 6. It differs according to everyone's taste. So I'm going to take all this gravy and just spread it around liberally. If you could help me put the rice on there until it's almost 3/4 of the pot. And we're going to put in some potatoes. Go ahead, yeah.
And that's the rice. Done. What goes next?
Fried onions.
For the crunch.
And then we're going to place this, pour some saffron. And just
That is beautiful.
spread it around.
Grab some finger. Final garnishings?
Cashews, just for some added color. The cashews have been roasted with a bit of peri-peri and cayenne pepper. Just about 1/4 cup maybe. That's it. Okay, and now for the dum part.
We're ready for dum.
This is a dum dough. What I've done is I've made a stiff dough with flour, water, and a teaspoon of fennel seeds, a teaspoon of ground cardamom powder, and a teaspoon of ginger powder. That gives it an aroma, basically. You can actually smell it in yours.
I can actually smell it.
And I'm going to use this basically to seal the pot and then place the lid on just to block in the steam, and then you get the true dum packed. There you go.
Yay.
Take the lid and we're going to just press it on there. So it's sealed, and now we put it in the oven at 180 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes until basically the moisture and any water that's at the bottom of the pot dries out. And that's it.
So our dum biryani is ready to go into the oven and wait to eat.
It's ready.
I think I've worked very hard for my meal today. I'm very hungry. Let's eat. Time to taste?
Go for it.
Let's put some of that on it. That is delicious. Do you know, the meat is so tender, and as much as we put ghee and yogurt and cream into it, it doesn't taste as rich as I imagined. It's really fantastic. It's something you have to try at home. And if you would like to, don't forget to check our Mela Facebook page because Sadiyya's Dum Breyani recipe will be on it. Thank you, Sadiyya.
Thank you, George.